The shift towards non-oil revenue amid the ongoing tax reforms reflects government's commitment to build a more stable and sustainable revenue base. Now, experts, however, argue that the federal government's efforts to improve non-oil revenue must be balanced to ensure that tax policies support economic growth in the long run. Well, let's talk more around this. And I'm being joined by the President, Chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, Mr. Samuel Olushola Agbeluyi. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you. It's good to have you in the studio.
Happy New Year to you, and good to be here.
Yes, and it's good to talk about federal government's effort aimed at improving non-oil sector, because I thought about it and I said you are the right person to take us through this. First, let's look at all that has been done so far to improve non-oil revenue base. What would you really say, or what is notable in some of the moves being made by President Tinubu in recent times?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me pick May 29, 2023 as my cut-off date. And having listened to the current president, President Tinubu, there has been the experience of saying the right thing, and that is important. How do you solve any problem you see? You need to identify what is the cause of the problem.
Yes.
And the president has rightly identified that. There has been low revenue in the country, and of course, tax revenue is important, is key to revenue generation to the country. And from the onset, the current president has said that he identified multiplication of taxes as an issue hindering Nigeria from getting what is required. And he has taken the right step, he has said the right thing, and to that extent, we have a presidential committee handling that. The mandate of that committee is to have deliverable for the first 3 months, the next 6 months, and at the next 1 year. That is ongoing, and I'm happy to also announce I'm a member of that committee, even though I'm not here to speak for the committee. I'm here to speak as the president of CITN. So the president has identified the problem, and he has made the right statement. It will interest us to know that on the day of inaugurating the presidential committee, the president told the nation that he's not an advocate of taxing poverty. So you cannot engage people who are already poor by collecting money from them, because actually they have nothing to give you. So it's like killing them. Then he also made a comment, which is quite instructive, that we should look at taxing the seed and not the taxing the fruit and not the seed. That is the philosophy behind that statement, is that you need to allow the company to grow. Once they grow, they will have enough to pay. To give to the government. True. So, and to the tax revenue authorities, the essence of that statement is, can you nurture your taxpayer? The taxpayer you want to collect X amount of money from in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, can you partner with them? Can you nurture them? Once you nurture them, they will be there. They see you as partner in progress. So there will be no hiding anything from the revenue office, because they have always seen you as partner in progress. So the president spoke to that, and he took the right step by setting up that committee. I am privileged to know majority of the members of that committee, and I'm happy that the work is going on fine. And shortly, Nigeria will feel the positive impact of whatever is the outcome of the work of that committee.
Interesting way to start. But there is this assertion, I don't know if I'll call it an assertion, that people don't want to pay tax. Now, this is not limited to Nigeria. I'm not limiting it to Nigeria. It's not just Nigeria. You see those abroad telling you, oh, our tax is killing us. We are paying this, we're paying that. People try to always want to evade this. But I want to ask, what can be done? How do we balance it? People want to see what government is doing with the funds made from taxation. And I used to say this, aside from states like Lagos, where you can point to 1 or 2 things, people will say, what really is being done with our tax money? So how do we balance this?
Okay, there's also another statement that nobody pays tax with a smile on his face.
Wow, that's true.
It's a very difficult one to pay. And if that is a worldwide statement, not restricted to Nigeria, then you can assume that it is more difficult to pay in Nigeria, whereby government over the years have not properly utilized what has been given to them in form of tax revenue. Yes. So to that extent, we will continue to do our advocacy. Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria has been at the forefront of telling the government, just do the right thing. Whoever is the president of this country is fortunate to be the president of a very good set of people. That is confirmed. Nigerians are very good and they can trust their leaders. But of course, you also need to do the right thing. So once the government, once they can see what you use the money for, of course, they will pay. And we travel all over the country. And with that, I'm not a politician, and I just speak to what I see as a professional. I'm not surprised that Engineer David Umai is in charge of Ministry of Works. Some years ago, I was in Abakaliki, and I saw development. And I went to look at what was the allocation from FAC
to that state.
And I look at the internally generated revenue from that state. And I saw the development. It was obvious. Go to Abakaliki. If you are in that city center in the evening, you think you are not in the country. I saw it. I know Nigeria very well. So it is not going to be difficult for a man like that to collect taxes from people. This is what we are seeing. You mentioned Lagos State. It is clear. We know what it used to be. The days of several stories of refuse in Idioro, in Ikeja, all over Lagos. That's those who are just coming to Lagos today may not have that history. They may not know it used to be as bad as that. So all you need to do is to ensure that you judiciously use whatever the government, the populace, the taxpayer gives to you. Once that is done, I tell you, you get more money. And the best way to capture this is to say it is better and easier to collect money from taxpayer voluntarily rather than enforcement. Because enforcement has its cost. But the moment you gain the confidence of the people and they are able to pay you as and when it is important, of course, the country will go on progress properly.
Interesting stuff. Let's stay with the states now. Many would say, or the argument, it's obvious that there's a lot of dependence on federal allocation. And even at this time where subsidy is out, the government, the state governments are getting more. I think the last fact that was distributed was above 1 trillion naira. It's unprecedented. We never used to have that. It used to be about 900, 700 in some cases. So now my question really would be, how do you think the states can come in now to support federal government? And they can also even improve their own IGR.
Well, thank you very much. Whatever has been the increase in allocation to the state has been at the discretion of the federal government.
Yes.
And the issue is we have over-concentrated on the activities at the federal level. Rightly so, you need to concentrate to know what is happening at the federal level. But that shouldn't be at the expense of monitoring what is at the state level, even at the local government level. Now, you wonder what some of the state governments are doing in making good their state. In the last dispensation, and we need to say this so that Nigeria can move forward, some of the governors were virtually residing in Abuja and Dubai. Now, how do you feed the pulse of the people you are governing? How do you make life better for them? If the state, they have trusted you to be a governor in their state, and you don't find the state suitable for you to stay, that means there's something you are not doing right.
Yes.
So the state government needs to do a lot. We can't even discuss the local government because that is like, it's no longer existing. So if we stick...
And a lot of funds is going to that way, a lot of funds now.
I tell you, you can imagine a local government like Ikeja local government. That's bigger than some states.
Yeah.
You can imagine a local government like Victoria Land, Ikoyi, and Co.
Jeremy Fellow, you
can imagine Apapa. So a lot can still be done at that level, at that tier of government. But if we stick to even the state government at this time, they can do a lot. So you don't just rely on what you get on monthly basis from Abuja, and you think you are doing very well. Whatever is the extra, I will expect a prudent governor to look at what was the average over the past 3, 4, 5 years, and what has been the increase in recent months. And can you channel whatever has been this increase into capital projects? Everybody benefits when you go into capital projects. Are you talking of roads? Are you talking of school infrastructure? Are you talking of energy? The Electricity Act of 2023 has given opportunity to the state to participate as a player in the energy sector. And if energy is a problem, a major problem that this country has identified, can this, maybe some states can come together and look at how they increase their energy. If you do 10 today, possibly in another 3 years, you can do 20. So you take the burden off the existing structure. And of course, you'll be serving your people very well. So I will want us to do, particularly the press and the civil society and every lovers of this country, to pay more attention to the state government. A lot of money is going on there.
Interesting stuff. Now, moving forward, now let's see what's happening with tax to GDP ratio that everyone keeps talking about. You know, it took me time to understand that, you know, at the time Nigeria was on 6% for so long. But I think the last check was about 10%, 10.8%. So that's pretty better now. But we're talking about 18%. And I read something where you said CITN will also ensure that Nigeria meets this tax to GDP ratio of 18%. I would ask you, how easy will this be? It seems to be like a tall order. How soon can we get there?
Well, it could be as easy as let the government be transparent. Let the government be accountable. Once you do this, and just like I said before, the populace, the taxpayer, will do what is expected of them. Nobody wants to be a local government to himself. You are setting up a bakery, and you are digging borehole. You are doing energy for yourself. And all this, possibly you construct road. So once this burden can be taken away from the taxpayer, of course, they will channel their money to the government. And I tell you, there's wisdom in the definition of taxation, whereby it is a pool of money collected from the people to be used for the people. So once you have that pool of funds, and you have people who have been elected to be in charge of the affairs of the country, so they know where to go, which road to start, and which industry or which school to build. Because all we need is the necessary infrastructure for the private sector to thrive. And Nigeria is a very great country, whereby you have a lot of enterprising people. You need to imagine what banking activities was in this country 20 years ago. The era of a tally number.
Yes.
Nobody goes to the bank to sleep now. What has brought that?
So you go first. I didn't experience
you drop money.
You drop it.
Yeah,
then you go back.
The bond card, check, and put in the fort. Possibly you go tomorrow to do the whatever. Wow. If you transfer, if you pay in check, up-country check, it was called. It takes 21 days to before you get funding for it in another state. So the initiative of the private people in the sector has brought this relief. So I transfer money to somebody in Sokoto today. He never knew where we are coming from. So the government needs to rely and take advantage of this vibrant, great public sector and collaborate with them. Once this is done, the country will get whatever. And these people are never tired. We just talk about the banking sector. Can you imagine what the improvement that has happened in the ICT?
Yeah.
I remember the day of night, whereby you need to go and queue to receive call, international call. Now, from every part of the country, you can make call. So we don't need to reinvent any way. We have the template that has always been working. So just so transparency, accountability, and partner with the private sector. Nigerians will be great, and we have them in abundance. So this will be the focus. Let there be energy. Let there be. Because nobody is going to trust you and give you money once you are not using whatever you collected yesterday properly. Well, so it is as simple as that.
It's still getting more interesting. I mean, fiscal responsibility is key. Because we're talking about revenue issues here. We're talking about how we can shore up revenue. So everyone will expect that I'm not the only one that's going to make this sacrifice. Government should also make sacrifice. Do you think we're on track with fiscal responsibility across the board?
Well, to an extent, yes. To an extent, yes. And I mean, to have anything done in a very complex country like Nigeria, you need the structure, you need a framework. So for the framework, we have the legal framework, we have the institutional framework. So those things are there. And so I want us to look at fiscal responsibility from three types: the revenue, the expenditure, allocation of resources, and debt management. Now, essentially, these three variables are talking to value for money. So can we put structure in place whereby whatever we are supposed to collect goes into the account of the government? Once this is done, of course, we know we have the revenue properly captured. Then the allocation of the resources. We have 36 plus 1 states across the nation. And there must be fairness to everybody. And we must also know if we spend money. The immediate past Federal Minister of Works was always talking of the economic roads. Those are the roads whereby you make them
profitable.
They will help the economy, and of course the GDP will go up. So to that extent, we need to do that. Now, once the activities, everything goes up, what is tax to GDP? We are talking of the economic activity. Tax is a derivative of the economy, essentially so. So it is what the economic activities are, whatever is the bottom line that we call profit, the case may be, for company, that you set out to collect tax on. Or possibly, if you are talking of consumption tax, you look at lifestyle. And once people are prosperous, their lifestyle will be good. True. And you can collect money from them. Then personal income tax. I believe we have not done very well in this area. And a clear example is comparing the situation of Nigeria with South Africa. About 60 million in South Africa, about 200 million in Nigeria. The richest people are in Nigeria. They are not in South Africa. So how come South Africa is getting more money than Nigeria? Is it about the law? Is it about the practice? We need to do something about this. And all these critical steps rest with the federal government. So, in terms of fiscal responsibility, the revenue, we need to have value for money.
True.
How much are we collecting? Several decades ago, several centuries ago, and as we talk of economic of tax collection. So, whatever we are collecting, the revenue must match the cost of collection, and the expenditure must be properly structured to ensure fairness. And of course, our debt is rising.
It is, and it's worrisome.
And so, CIT has been talking about this for years. And some people in government before now, they were talking of debt to GDP. But the truth is that GDP does not pay debt. It is revenue that pays debt. So we need to shore up the revenue, and the most sustainable way of getting revenue for any developed country is taxation. So, and that is the way to go.
Finally, what is your outlook generally? We're already in 2024, so we can't say in 2024 again. The year has started. What sort of growth are you expecting generally, considering the issues we face?
There's a proposal of 3.7, which is achievable. In my own estimate, I agree with the government, but you need to do the right thing. the security system in the country is worrisome, still worrisome, even though the president keeps on giving hope. That is his job anyway. He needs to give hope to the people. But the security system in the country is worrisome. Now, it used to be energy. But going forward, we need to add security to energy in terms of priority, in terms of importance. Once that is done, then the enterprising people in the country can go to their farm, can go everywhere. And of course, once there's productivity, and there are a lot of, particularly looking at the agriculture, a lot of people borrowed money, a lot of people resigned to go into agriculture. And they are back in the city because they could not stay on their farmland because of insecurity. So the government needs to look at this. Once this is done, and I tell you, Nigeria is a very great country. And I'm also happy for the effort of the president across the globe. He's saying the right thing. True. And people are coming. So all we expect is that going forward, the benefit of all this trip and the importance of Nigeria as a very great country to invest in, we start coming out, and Nigeria will be great for it.
I must thank you again. I've been speaking to the President, Chairman of Council, Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, Mr. Samuel Agbeluyi. Thank you for being a part of the show today. We appreciate this. We don't take it for granted. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Coming up on the show, we'll stay with some economic policies of government.